everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Tall Tales with TallGamer. We're again at Mr. Tramps, and today's guest we have Jennifer Bullard. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, right on. So let's go ahead and get into it. Looking at your LinkedIn profile, I see that you have done quite a few things.
I have.
And it seems that you're just getting bigger and bigger on your accomplishments. Back in the day, you were a product manager. You worked at several of the different Austin studios here.
Yep.
And then now, more recently, you are a CEO and co-founder of the Captivate conference.
That is correct.
So how was that transition to you're a project manager or a product owner, and then now you are the head of this huge organization. You're planning a rather large conference.
Yeah.
How was that, and how do you have your hair?
Good question. So what we're really talking about here are transitions through people's careers.
Right.
I started off as a team member, like everybody else, doing design at New World Computing, and then I transitioned into team leadership, and then I transitioned into product leadership, and then I transitioned into community leadership, which means, wow, I've made a lot of transitions in my career in the last
Yep.
16 years. And one of the things that I encountered was people didn't really guide me, so I sort of had to figure it out on my own, which meant reading materials or trial and error, mostly error. And you learn really quickly that there isn't a lot of support if you want to become a leader in our industry. Now, if you want to become the best of the best at being a graphics programmer, there's a ton of support for that.
Right.
If you want to be really kick-ass at 3D modeling, lots of support. You want to learn how to make the team not hate each other? Good luck. Unfortunately, it's a really required skill because you have all these different groups who are diametrically opposed in their opinions.
Yes.
They do not want to get along with each other because they think the other person is less skilled or off the mark or whatever it is, and you have all this conflict. And the worst part is you spend your entire life prepping to be a team member, and the skills that made me a good team member, being able to crunch out work really fast, being consistent, producing high quality, totally irrelevant for being a leader.
Yeah.
100%. That nobody cares whether or not I can push pixels or do anything. The only thing they care is your team functional and do they get all their stuff done today? That's all they care about.
Yep.
So my grading scores went from very tactical, very personal oriented to is this group of people working together? And the higher up you go, you run into it's a bigger group. The people want to have more autonomy. So now I've got immediate conflict in my world where, my team wants to control how they do things, but I'm responsible for how it's done.
Right.
That's just conflict right then and there. So as I made the progression over time, I realized every time I would transition up, I'd have to go, well, what are the new skills? Now I knew after my first transition, the skills weren't the same. So I at least had the wisdom to go, I need to learn some new stuff.
Yep.
What am I going to learn for this? How am I going to get there and how am I going to manage it? And of course, the last thing that nobody ever talks about is the fear.
Yeah.
Just straight up fear. You are
It's funny because
so afraid.
Yep.
You're like, I'm going to fail because now my success depends on 10 other people and I can't be a micromanaging jerkwad. I really just have to let them do it and trust them. So the most important thing you can build is trust, and the worst thing for you is fear.
Now, did you have a lot of mentors in your career, through those transitions, or where did you end up going?
I've had two,
Okay.
and I didn't get them until later on. I didn't get my mentors until I got my first one in 2005. Her name was Lori Durham,
Okay.
and I don't think she realized that I had absolutely no clue what I was about to get into or how to do what I had to do. I had run projects and I had shipped product, not a problem. Now I had to do it, and I had 4 producers who were going to work for me, and they were going to get the product shipped so I could go do business development with our business partners. That was a little nerve-wracking for the first 6 months. That was a rough day when I realized, I'm like, yes, I got help, and then I walked back and I went, oh shit, what do I do with them?
Exactly.
How do I teach them all the things that I have internalized and I just know? So for the first time in my career, and I started my career in '98, I had to internalize and self-reflect on a series of skills that I had never even really identified or put words to. So that was a rough thing, and she was great. She helped me right through that. My next mentor was Frank Coppersmith. As I really started, as I started really like moving up the chain and moving in the leadership, and he kept saying, "This is where you need to go." And he really supported my stepping out into the community because he recognized its importance for the game industry. So he was very supportive on, all right, this is how you do process, this is how you do data collection, here's all of this that you're going to need in order to get into that true executive level. And that was another frustrating and scary transition for me.
Frank is definitely a great guy.
He is.
That is awesome. So now, with all of that, and we've talked about Captivate a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're also, and we are at a bar, so that's why you hear the motorcycle. It's, again, good times.
Yeah.
It's Austin. Keep it weird.
Yes.
We'll drive the motorcycles right into the bar if we need to. But along with that, so you're also on the IGDA Austin chapter.
Yes.
And your position again is the
chapter chair.
All right. So you're also responsible for everybody in Austin who's a part of the IGDA, and we're doing the Captivate thing.
Yes.
We gotta wait for him to go.
That's all right. Gives me a second here. It's my nose.
And so, the question I was going to ask was, what inspired you? And obviously, I think I kind of know where this is going to go. But what inspired you to start getting into Captivate and the IGDA?
So, what inspired me to get into IGDA was that desire to step out in the community and get into community leadership. When I started the whole concept behind Captivate, I realized that our ecosystem does not have the same support that other business ecosystems have. Other industries have better support than we do from the community at large and from its own internal community, and I thought that's something that we need to work on.
Right.
And a conference is a good touchstone to start. And I was looking at what is our community? Because we can say, oh, it's just game developers. But we employ a lot of musicians. I've hired a couple of filmmakers who've transitioned out of film. We use a lot of their techniques and terminology, and I realized we've got this blend of film, music, and games, especially in the digital media space, especially in mobile, where we're all coming together and converging. And
got my mobile device right here.
Yep. And
not too far away.
Exactly. So I realized we need to learn this new business path. 5 years ago, brand new hardware pops out, revolutionizes, drops the barrier to entry, all of a sudden everything changes. And a good portion of our industry shifted. It's affected AAA, it's affected console, it's affected PC and Mac. I mean, it's affected everybody. And there are more coming. There's more hardware out there that is going to impact our industry heavily over the next 5 years.
Yep.
So I wanted to start a conference that talked about, one, what are the external forces that are impacting and shifting us, and how do you navigate that? And second, I said, man, it is about time we put some leadership in business entrepreneurship into our normal vernacular. Everyone works for 18 months and gets laid off,
Yes, I do.
Yes, you know exactly.
Yes.
I've been laid off 4 times through no fault of my own. Companies just fold, projects end, they don't know what to do, you're out on the street. Exactly. And it's like, what do you do about that? How do you manage that? How do you manage your life? And then you realize, well, maybe I'm not just kind of that employee working all the time. I'm an entrepreneur and I work part here. And what am I selling? Well, I'm selling my skills. I'm selling this. How do you manage that? How do you make that as part of your life and weave that into having to learn the tactical skill sets that you can sell at the same time? Not everybody has the ability to sit and end up in a room of strangers and say, hi, I am, would you like to be my new friend? That's a learned skill set. It really is. So that was part of the conference, was to teach people the full range of what their lives are like, what their careers are like, everything from individual skills to where convergent technologies are going, to you need to be a leader and a business developer, business person, because the stable company for 5 years has gone away.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to found Captivate.
Right on. Now, so while we're on the subject of Captivate, when is it?
It's October 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Palmer Event Center. We're right in between the ACL weekends, so we have a couple of interesting things that are happening already. We've got 3 of our keynotes already set up, and you're going to get a little bit of a sneak peek here. So we have Warren Spector, who is the game keynote, which we've already announced, but we also have Gary Hoover, who's our business keynote. And I know you don't know who he is, but that's okay. He founded Hoovers with an S.com. Yes.
The information
specialist.
So I do know that because I worked at Dell and I had to deal with Hoovers a lot. So
excellent. You know exactly who he is. Awesome. Well, he's our business keynote because he just jumped into the game industry.
Okay. So that I didn't know.
Yes. His company's called Bigwood Games, and he's working on entrepreneurial games. And he's starting off with the restaurant industry. So I'm one of his advisors. I'm super excited to have him on board as Captivate and to really participate in his next adventure. And of course, we also, for the mobile keynote, we have Whirly from Chaotic Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to come in and say, hey, how's it going, and do his thing. So we have those 3 keynotes.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And we're lining up 2 more. I'm working on a film keynote and a music keynote.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, cool. So now, where do you see yourself, and then where do you see the Captivate conference in 3 years from now?
All right, so my goal in 3 years from now with the Captivate conference is to have a solid 5,000 to 6,000 attendees every year with several thousand ACL people flowing through so that we can get consumer input on all the products that are shown. I want to have the front-facing part of the expo floor, consumer products, so that people can get market feedback and catch data analysis they wouldn't normally be able to catch. I want the back end to be all supporting the developers, so any of the technology, anything that they might have. And then I want all the conference sessions to be on what is new and convergent, what are the business tips and tricks that you need, how do you manage all of this, that sort of thing. That's what I want the conference to be in 6 years, or 3 years, and then 6 years later it's going to be whatever we need it to be. Right now, Captivate, and it will be for a while, is a nonprofit. And the goal is to take all the proceeds from the conference and funnel them into either STEM education for disadvantaged children and help entrepreneurs get funded off. So working on Texas Game Labs, and that needs funding, so we can put people in a place and help them get their new ventures launched.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
And guys, if you want to know any more information on Captivate, you want to give them the website?
Yeah, www.captivateconference.com, and we have all the info up there. You can check it out. We also have a game competition, a film competition, a music competition, and they all have cash prizes. So get your application in today.
And speaking of, I want to touch on one point about the Captivate conference. I know that there's a range of prices, so it's not some monstrous $1,500 ticket.
Nothing is $1,500.
Okay.
Nothing. The lowest price is $150, and that's just if you want to see sessions and panels. If you want to attend the workshops, that's right now $225. The top 2 tickets are for people who are in leadership and business leadership positions and need to have more focused access to all of the business aspects. But they stop at like $400. So we're not going to have outrageous prices. And I will never have outrageous prices. My goal is to keep the conference as inexpensive as possible and affordable for everyone, because my target audience is anyone who's brand new to very experienced, entrepreneurial to big.
Awesome. Well, again,
thank you.
Good spending some time with you.
Yes.
And we'll see you in the future.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Please support Operation Supply Drop.